Today I just wanted to drop in and give my thoughts so far about Black Ops 6 after trying the beta yesterday and a little bit today. First off, I want to tell you guys that I got into the beta for free due to a code from Xfinity, my internet service provider. So I personally don't suggest buying anything without you trying it yourself first. So, I'd maybe wait until the 6th of September to try the game out for the free open beta if you can't get a code for free to get in. Some people are pre-ordering the game and then planning on doing a refund, but I would hate for anybody to be in a situation where they can't get their refund. They're trapped making the purchase. Upon launching the game, I immediately got Black Ops Cold War vibes from the music, the main menu screen, the design, the way that the character's walking, holding the gun. My character actually didn't have a gun model in their hand when I first started it up, so that was kind of a funny way to be greeted to a $70 video game. There's a lot of hit marker sounds, emblems, and stuff that are reused, specifically from Black Ops Cold War, so some people may find that to be nostalgic. Other people might see it as being lazy. I guess it really just depends on who you ask. There's a really small amount of content. There's only 3 maps to play on, and there's just like a mosh pit of like a couple different modes. It's like hardpoint, team deathmatch, domination. I don't know if there's any other modes, but I feel like they're kind of giving a small offering in terms of a beta. I just think that they need to show more in order to convince people on a $70 game. But at the end of the day, this is Call of Duty. We don't necessarily have the smartest community in the world. Alright, so we got the movement. It definitely takes some getting used to. You definitely run forward faster than you run sideways and stuff. It's less jarring than I imagined, like trying to aim at enemies that are jumping or doing movement. It's not as fast as it originally looked when I first saw the leaks and everything. When you're running with ARs, they point towards the floor rather than up towards the sky, the high port position when you're doing tac sprint, which is a little bit of something to get used to, but it's not a big deal. It's just different. Footsteps are definitely something to look into because half the time I'm not getting footsteps. I think it has to do with the connection, honestly. On so many different FPS games online over the internet, people just sprint up behind you without a peep coming out of them. Honestly, Treyarch Call of Duty games always had quiet footsteps, and they went pretty well with the simple map designs that they would go with. These new age Call of Duties have a little bit more complicated maps, so I think it's just that much more important to have audible footsteps. I think the new movement paired with low footstep audio will result in lots of flanks without audio cues to pick up on. I literally just wasn't getting footsteps on any of the 3 maps. Like sometimes I would, but they're so quiet. They're really... Let me know if you've noticed the footsteps being almost unable to be picked up on. Maybe I just need to crank the volume way loud, but it's like the gunshots, all the other things are really, really loud. And I can't have those quieter when I turn up the other stuff to try to make the footsteps more audible. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays out. I don't think the footsteps are going to be a massive deal, except for maybe Search and Destroy or Warzone. Hopefully they get everything in order at that point. The game is definitely designed around controller players, like most games in general. As a keyboard and mouse player, you'll definitely sometimes die in unfathomable ways. The reticle doesn't have issues that it did in MW2 and MW3, where the reticle would move as you move. So it's not actually shooting where you aim, which was just kind of ridiculous. I'm really, really glad that the team fixed that. They also nerfed aim assist like 3 meters and below, so there's like no aim assist on controller 3 meters and closer, which is nice because now you're not going to break somebody's ankles only for their aim assist to spin them around and kill you anyways. At the end of the day, we got to be realistic. Call of Duty's always been a controller game, even though it came to PC first. Ever since Call of Duty's been a big franchise, popular video game, people have been playing it on the controller. There's really only some games that I couldn't imagine playing on controller. Like imagine playing League of Legends on a controller. Or imagine playing StarCraft or one of those strategy type of games where you have to manage a whole bunch. It just wouldn't be good. So, there's going to be games that are better on controller, games that are better on keyboard and mouse. In today's age, FPS games are controller games for the most part. That's just the way it works out sometimes. I've definitely been noticing on the beta, probably due to a smaller player pool right now with the people that are on, packet burst is pretty extreme. I've been getting a lot of gunfights where, You know, I'm dying around corners, shoot first, die first, you name it. I really, really wish I could see the ping of the teammates and the enemies in the lobby with me, because I have a suspicion that there's players who have over 100 ping in the lobbies, and those are the situations where the packet burst is happening. You know, maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist and there's no logical reason why they're hiding the ping numbers for our enemies. Player models don't necessarily stand out very much visually on the map. It really can be hard to see them. I think some of these designs are based around controller and aim assist, because it's easier to pick up on where somebody is when you feel that pull, when you feel that aim assist slow down. Not having that on keyboard and mouse puts you at a massive disadvantage in low visibility situations. I've had a couple times where I've gotten some bad spawns. I don't feel like my spawns have been as bad as I've heard other people having, but spawn logic could probably definitely be improved. I know it mostly has to do with your teammates' positions and everything, but you can't control where everybody is on the map. And with that said, you shouldn't be spawning in somebody's line of sight or spawning directly behind somebody who's on a high streak or something. That's just infuriating, honestly. The maps are pretty good so far. I really wish we could have more to experience, but there have been rumors that this year's COD will have less maps throughout the seasons, so they're probably just being sparing with the content that they give to the people so that they don't burn out. I will personally make purchase decisions closer to release, as I like this, but the multiplayer is probably just going to wind up being a place to level your guns for Warzone, as it's been the last couple years. Like, in terms of content creation and other stuff, just playing games with friends, I enjoy Warzone more than I like multiplayer Call of Duty these last couple years. Probably really since 2019. You know, I really got into Ground War, and then Modern Warfare 2022 was just kind of movement-wise at least. And then Modern Warfare 3 basically put Ground War in the dirt and discontinued it. So I think camping is definitely viable as a play style despite all this new movement and everything. I've had plenty of times flying around a corner for a player to just kill me who was sitting in a corner. So it's not... I feel like some of the discrepancies are going to be more based around the internet connection than anything. Like, you know when you're shooting an enemy and they're just sponging your bullets, taking half your clip or more. While playing, this actually got me to thinking, since Call of Duty has such a huge player base, why don't we have input-based matchmaking on here? Like, the keyboard and mouse players could play other keyboard and mouse players. I know it's a small player base, but especially even in multiplayer, not even necessarily Warzone, I know multiplayer would be capable of finding a lobby of nothing but keyboard and mouse players. Or maybe we're really just that small of a community on Call of Duty. Let me know if you think there's enough players to where we could have input-based matchmaking on Call of Duty. Keyboard and mouse players could stay where they want to stay. Or do you think it would break up the player base too much? You know, it could create a situation where if input-based matchmaking is turned on by default, the keyboard and mouse players have a massively smaller player base to play against. That's actually something that I feel like is kind of happening on X-Defiant. Overall, I think the game looks and it feels pretty good, but the servers are still low tick rate, and they're not going to prioritize ping over other factors when the game comes out. Skill-based matchmaking, EOMM, whatever you want to call it, the biggest problem with that, in my opinion, is the way that it affects your connection. I don't mind playing better players than me. I don't mind playing players that are on the same level as me. What I have a problem with is playing players that were sourced from some location that shouldn't be playing against me, because it ruins the connection. It ruins the competitive integrity, because one player or another is going to be at such a massive disadvantage because of lag compensation and just lag and desync in general. You know, Call of Duty's always had this super overtuned lag compensation where somebody can have incredibly high ping and they're basically unkillable. Same can also go for somebody with really, really low ping. Overall, at the end of the day, it's just another Call of Duty game. It's got some innovations, but I feel like the beta really held back on the content, so they're not wooing me out of my $70 quite yet. I think what I might do is I might get it on Game Pass, since I can do that on PC as well. Have some other games as options to play while I'm paying for that as well. Get the first couple months out of it, level the guns up for Warzone, and then either continue buying Game Pass, buy the game on sale for 30 or 40 bucks, or just only play Warzone for free and then as new things come out, I'll unlock those within Warzone. I don't need to do the camo grind. There's going to be plenty of vent camos and other stuff that you can probably unlock that look just as cool, if not cooler than the camos. I'm just not going to really feed into the hype this year. I've heard rumors that the game's going to get less post-launch support than Modern Warfare 2 did last year, so I'm not going to expect a bunch of maps throughout the seasons. Overall, I think my main purchasing decision is going to be made when I see what the game launches with in total, because I'm not going to take a $70 price tag off of the idea that it's going to get better over time. It's either going to be worth my money right when I buy it, or it's not. With that said, I don't feel very pressured to buy the game in general, knowing that the company focuses on Warzone as their first and foremost. If you've got the extra cash to spend on the game and not have to think about it, go ahead and get it. It's just a video game at the end of the day. If you're kind of short for cash, I wouldn't spend my last $70 on the game, put it that way. Some food will probably do a little bit better for you.